Dope Sports Talk Worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Well, guys, gotta get on my Negro League fighters, a few of them right now. Talk about a little something. We're gonna talk about a little Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz, right? Basically, it's just a trip when it comes to Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz. Listen, when last time you heard about him, right? And then we talk about, the boring boxers, right? And I told you back in the day, boring, somebody watch a boxing match and it's boring, it's probably because you didn't have nothing to cheer about. And the dude you like can't hit the other guy. And then it gets boring, right? The names, Guillermo Rigondeaux, after he beat Nonito Donaire, right? Bigger, Donaire was bigger than him, but it was still called boring, right? He was blackballed after, being smaller than the guy, and Nonito Donaire is number 3 pound for pound, to blackball a guy and say he's boring after that. And most of the time, he's knocking people out, breaking people's jaws and stuff like that. That's boring, right? Couldn't understand that, right? Demetrius Andrade was called by Canelo Alvarez as boring, even though he has a title, right? And he could have been undisputed to fight Demetrius Andrade, but he was able to say, hey, he's boring, right? He could say that. Floyd Mayweather the whole time, he's boring. The fight against Manny Pacquiao was supposed to be boring, because Pacquiao couldn't hit him. But it wasn't boring to see that. It wasn't bored at all. And like I said back in the day, anybody that was for Pacquiao, you weren't bored in round 4 or round 6 when Pacquiao hit him. Don't worry. You probably stood up and was going off. But those were few and far between, and that's why it got boring. Which is nothing to cheer for. Boring is basically sour grapes, right? And right now, be careful. It's going to be Shakur Stevenson, right? Because he's right around the weight division of Oscar Valdez, who just beat Miguel Bichette. And, it's going to go down now with Shakur Stevenson, how boring he can be. Right? And boring basically means they ain't got nothing to cheer for, and you pretty damn awesome. Because Rigondeaux, Shakur Stevenson, Demetrius Andrade, and Floyd Mayweather are nothing less than awesome. Every single one of them. Right? And if you can't be awesome in a little ass ring, then it's not boring. I never got bored by none of them. Right? None of them. Watch them all the time. Ain't nothing boring about it. Right? Negro League fighters. I hadn't called it Shakur Stevenson yet, but join the club. You're going to have to deal with the Negro League stuff just like everybody else. That brings me to another one of the chairmen of the Negro Leagues, and that's Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz. Right? Just say his name every now and then. I talk about my Negro League fighters. Y'all know who they are. Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz, right? Deontay Wilder is one of them. Demetrius Andrade, the Charlos, Devin Haney, stuff like that. It is what it is. It is what it is. They get ignored and people start asking you, who have you fought? And they know that the people that have been ignoring you and stuff like that. Well, listen, when you look at Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz, he's a heavyweight. He's been there forever. He's very formidable. He's dangerous. He has the name, the Boogeyman. I gave him the name, the Candyman. The reason why is because can't nobody call him out without him saying, yes, you can have me. He never gets called out. He's never in anybody's plans. He's still not right now. And he's number 3 in the WBC. He's number 5 in the WBA, or number 8. But number 5 in the WBA, what is he in the number 10 in the IBF, and WBO he's not ranked. But everybody knows he's a high profile heavyweight. Everybody knows if they beat him, they've done something. Listen, we know that Tyson Fury is a champion, right? But Tyson Fury has said for years he's high risk, low reward, no reason to fight him. Even though Tyson Fury said, man, the dude 147 years old, but he's never going to fight him. He's been saying that for the longest. Tyson Fury don't want none of Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz. I would have Ortiz winning that fight, even now. And if it was 4 or 5 years ago too, I would have Ortiz beating Tyson Fury. That's where my money would go on. Right? And but we're not going to be able to see that fight. Tyson Fury has other plans. He's got the Anthony Joshua thing going on. He's got Deontay Wilder mediations going on. All kind of stuff. But he's not going to be talking about Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz anytime soon. Anthony Joshua is the same thing. Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz with Anthony Joshua was mandatory. And there was a lot of shenanigans going on. That's back in the time when Anthony Joshua fought Klitschko. Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz was a mandatory then, right? And then him and Klitschko fought, and after the fight, it was all kind of shenanigans. And they did give Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz his opportunity to fight Joshua after that. Then Ortiz was going to fight Deontay Wilder instead, and Wilder's in the WBC, right? And then he got popped dirty, fighted by the WBC, right? WBA said, "Oh, cool, we're going to take you off of, so you don't have to be Joshua's mandatory." He shouldn't have been banned by the WBA, never. But it was just to get him away from Joshua. It was a lot of shenanigans. Louis the Ortiz, Real King Kong Ortiz, said he was thinking about suing. He was upset about it, trying to get his shot with Anthony Joshua. He's called Anthony Joshua out of his name several times. The female cat word. He's called Anthony Joshua that before. He's done everything to get Joshua in, even signing with Eddie Hearn for a while. That didn't work out. So he's done everything to get Anthony Joshua in the ring. But Anthony Joshua's not going to fight him. And they had a time when there was a little negotiation when Anthony Joshua was trying to fight, I think, Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller popped dirty, Dillian White. He was trying to negotiate with them. And before all of that, Louis the Real King Ortiz offered his service for cheaper. After Jarrell popped dirty and Dillian White didn't want what he was offered, then they offered Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz about $7 million. And at that point, he wanted more because he was like, "You could have got me for 2 or 3. Now it's gonna be more than what he was gonna give Jarrell Miller." So it's a long thing with him, right? But so Anthony Joshua's got too much going on with Tyson Fury. Alexander Usyk would be his mandatory. Got a lot going on there. Then you got Andy Ruiz Jr., the one who beat them, the big boy, beat Anthony Joshua, then lost to him because he came in there. You could have rolled him to the ring because he was too big. Well, Andy Ruiz Jr. is training, seems to be a little bit fitter, right? But those pictures, we can't fall for that again because we fell for that before the Anthony Joshua fight, those fake Photoshop pictures. He was looking all slim and he came in bigger than he ever been. Whatever was what he's doing. Let's just see. Bottom line is Andy Ruiz is a good heavyweight. He's ranked number 4 at the WBC, number 6 at the WBA. He's not ranked at IBF, and he's number 5 at WBO. Andy Ruiz is all that. But Andy Ruiz is in a good fight with Chris Arreola, a Mexican dust-up. With Chris Arreola, this is going to be his next fight. No Ortiz. Now, Ortiz was least mentioned by Arreola, but by Ruiz, but that's it. So even my boy, roll with Joe. Joseph Parker, got a fight with Junior Fall coming up. After that, he's talking Chisora, Dillian White, Alexander Usyk. He has reasons to. He's trying to get the WBO strap mandatory from Usyk. Dillian White and him was already had a fight, and that's definitely controversial. So he wants to get that back. And Chisora, he had a fight planned with, and they didn't do it. So those are the guys he's got, right? Dillian White, right? Dillian White should have fought Ortiz on several occasions. He was mandated by the WBC to fight Ortiz. He didn't do it. He wanted to fight boy Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder said, "Listen, fight this guy here, Ortiz, and you get me automatically. You got my word." He didn't want to do that then. He was just, when Povetkin beat him, their rematch was planned sometime early in the year. What happened, Povetkin got COVID and couldn't have it. But Dillian White still wanted to fight. He whispered a few names, one of them being Louis Ortiz. Louis Ortiz answered. What did we get? Like I said in every video, crickets. Nothing. Nobody answered Ortiz. So Dillian White has had several opportunities to fight Ortiz. He won't do. We had a heavyweight this weekend, Otto Wilder, who handled his business against Dominic Breazeale. Otto Wilder's talking to a lot of fighters, but Ortiz is not one of them. And he's fought PBC fighters. He's fought Travis Kaufman. Now he fought Dominic Breazeale. He could be over there, but he's thinking Charles Martin, Deontay Wilder, whatever. Fury rematch. Won't mention your boy, Louis Ortiz. Now remember, Ortiz is ranked higher than most of these people. Kubrat Pulev just lost to Anthony Joshua. Still, even though Kubrat Pulev lose, I think Pulev is still good, period. That's just my opinion. But Pulev, I ain't heard nothing about him wanting Ortiz either. Joe Joyce, another good heavyweight, big behemoth heavyweight, just beat Daniel Dubois. He could be saying something about it, but no, he's like, shoot, I'm gonna get Alexander Usyk for this interim title for the WBO, and then we'll see after that. Then I can probably get a title shot. Same thing with Usyk. Usyk is undisputed at cruiserweight, boxing royalty. Don't need to do nothing, right? But he's gonna be the one. He's gonna fight Joe Joyce and let Joshua and Fury fight. So they're hooked up. Another good heavyweight is Filip Hrgović. That's the one that I think is going to do it. But Filip Hrgović, as bad as I think he is, he reminds me of Vitaly Klitschko. Hrgović is a bad boy. And I think he would probably be if somebody's going to call out Ortiz, it's going to probably be Hrgović, if anybody. But we haven't heard, all of these people I mentioned, we still haven't heard it, because Hrgović is saying he's sent something to Martin Bakole, the heavyweight who's pretty good from Scotland, pretty good by way of Nigeria or somewhere. Excuse me, I don't want to get it wrong, the African country. But from Africa, the continent of Africa, by way of Scotland. Bad boy only lost to Michael Hunter, which is another boogeyman. But so Hrgović is calling him out. You got Agit Kabayel, that guy who was supposed to be fighting Tyson Fury. You ain't gonna hear him say nothing about that, about Luis Ortiz. Mahmoud Char, the one who's supposed to be the WBA regular champion. He ain't gonna say nothing about Luis Ortiz. And Robert Helenius ain't gonna say nothing about Luis Ortiz, even though Robert Helenius, I think, at least mentioned his name not too long ago, right? So basically, all of these heavyweights, I haven't really missed it, except Michael Hunter. But Michael Hunter is a member of the Negro League Fighters anyway. He's been ignored too. That's a whole different video. Everybody and nobody's paths cross with Luis the Real King or Kong Ortiz. There's a reason, and that's why every now and then I just do a video about it, because that is crazy. That this guy's in the rankings, about 40-something years old, and everybody calls him 100-something years old, but no one besides Deontay Wilder has fought him. Wonder why we roll with Deontay Wilder. That's ludicrous, because not only did Deontay Wilder fight him, right? Deontay Wilder fought him when he wasn't a voluntary. Who the hell that's not nuts fights Luis the Real King Kong Ortiz as a voluntary? Who? Because see, first of all, we can't answer that question, because we ain't got nobody who would fight Luis the Real King Kong Ortiz with something to lose. First of all, but to put something on top of it as a voluntary, you a champion, hey, I'm gonna pick Ortiz when I can pick somebody else. That ain't happening. Wilder's nuts in a good way. That's why people roll with him, because nobody ain't doing that. That's ridiculous. It still hasn't happened. Ortiz has been around here forever, and those little screenshots I've been showing to you, it's just so you can see some of the stuff that's been going on. It's a lot more out there, but just little things, that you can just see and read yourself and, check it out. How do these people exist in boxing? Boxing is the only sport where somebody could be at the very, very top of the sport and could just be ignored, because we'll just say, we're not going to mention that guy. And all of these guys, Luis the Real King Kong Ortiz is the chairman. Deontay Wilder's in there, Demetrius Andrade, Charlo, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson now. It's where it's going to be somebody, right? With like Devin Haney, I ain't going to get an undisputed fight with Teofimo Lopez. Your boy, Demetrius Andrade, I ain't going to get no undisputed fight against Canelo. Charlo, I'm the mandatory. We got a new belt called the franchise belt, which is from now on called the Charlo belt. Never call it franchise no more, because it's the Charlo belt. That's why it's there, right? Devin Haney, Lomachenko goes and gets the Charlo belt, right? Deontay Wilder will lose it to a 50-pound heavier dude, and nobody wants to see the trilogy match, right? As soon as the right dude wins, we ain't even want to see the trilogy match. Not to mention, if the man might have cheated, we ain't going to entertain that thought. right? Shakur Stevenson, for what I've been hearing, been trying to get Valdez for who knows how long. That's going to be it. That's going to be something, right? And it's just constantly. Rigondeaux should be trying to get, Inouye should be trying to get Rigondeaux to get his name where he needs to have it. But he don't have to. I've been on Ring Magazine, and I didn't even have to even mention Rigondeaux. See what I'm saying? That's how that rolls. So at the end of the day, that's why I'm doing this video about Luis the Real King Kong Ortiz, because it's ridiculous. Those are a lot of heavyweights, and those are their plans for the next year or year and a half. Most of these heavyweights I just mentioned, and you haven't heard Luis the Real King Kong Ortiz, which means they need to bump him up to #1 on all of these sanctioned bodies, so people would have to fight him. Because #3, okay, that's good. #5, that's decent. But #10, they can go around that. But he's in all the sanctioned bodies, he's there. So where are the people that say, I'm going to get Ortiz to get that scalp to move up? People are not doing it. And the reason why is because Ortiz is all that. He's awesome too. Doma Sports Talk, worldwide. And I'm about it.